Thank you. So hi everyone and welcome to hybrid monetization panel in IMS. It's been a long time since we had like a face-to-face meetup. I think everyone is quite excited. Some of us are excited, some of us are not excited, I see. So what we're going to do today is discuss a little about, I would call it monetization and UA strategies, but in a little wider scheme, I would call it marketing strategies, hybrid marketing strategies that you can use if you have an app, if you have a game, it doesn't really matter. I think we will have some very interesting tips. We've got a very, I would say, very esteemed guests with a lot of experience. So let's just go for it. And let's start with, according to order, let's do it. So, Omer.
Hi everyone. So I'm Omer Gerzon. I'm the Director of Marketing and Growth in Playstudios. In case you don't know, Playstudios is a global game developer. Recently, in the last year, listed NASDAQ. We own currently 7 games, most of them in the social casino genre. Recently, in the past few months, we entered the casual genre with Tetris that we acquired, and we expect a lot from it, and you should expect a lot from it in the next few months. And in Playstudio in Israel, we in charge of all the marketing of all the 7 games, user acquisition, retargeting, app store optimization, and branding, and also about ad monetization, and we have some of the live ops efforts managed in Israel.
Hi everyone, I'm Orion Samuel. I work at Fitness22. We create the smartest fitness apps. We create and develop apps like running, workout apps for the gym, and we're a small team in Israel located in Petah Tikva, and we're hiring.
Nice pitch.
Hi everyone. I'm Rory Raz, the founder and the CEO at Ovivo Games. We are a hyper-casual publishing house with more than 30 different titles out there, with a very unique approach that I would love to tell you after if you want, so come and see me. If you're game developers, you're welcome. And we also hiring.
Everyone is hiring. Hi, do you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Shalom Michaeli. I'm based in London. I'm the managing director of Fiber, previously Fiber, now Turbine. Responsible for the supply side within EMEA. Digital Turbine acquired Fiber at Colony and Appreciate previously last year. We operate the largest independent mobile platform with monetization solutions for marketplace offer wall and fair bid mediation. And on the user acquisition side, we operate with OEMs and carriers, the leading one globally, running 800 million devices and adding 60 million devices every quarter. So we'll be happy to hire as well.
Hi everyone, nice to meet you all. So I am Ali Nari, I am head of sales at Agora, a global real-time engagement platform. So we mainly pour video and voice chat behind more than 25,000 mobile apps globally. So we're working with the major gaming studios. So if you are looking for real-time engagement or new monetization strategy through video or voice chat, so we are exhibiting at the Expo, and we are hiring as well.
Awesome. So we've got a lot of hiring companies, which is great, but let's discuss monetization a little. So let's start with a very basic question. Which monetization strategy are you currently using in your game or in your app? Let's start with Orion. Would you like to take that?
Yeah. Fitness22 was a very natural reason we use subscriptions. Fitness in general as an industry, very used to subscriptions, the users. So users use it for gym memberships, they use it for personal training memberships. And so for us, it was an easy choice. I think that for other companies, it's a matter of doing the research, understanding who your users are, understanding what your target market is, and understanding how they consume your product in order to understand if subscriptions is right for you.
Okay. Omar?
So Playstudios, as I said, in its core business, mostly have social casino games. 4 out of our 7 games are slot machine games, and mostly monetized by in-app purchases. This is our main source of monetization. Recently, in the past year, we are getting more and more involved with those titles, also with ad monetization. It's a pretty growing business for us. As I said, recently we acquired Tetris and we onboarded Tetris, which changed the entire environment of Playstudios in terms of ad monetization, and Tetris as a casual game is actually mostly monetized by ad monetization. So we are, if we talked about hybrid models, so we are definitely now going into those hybrid models and being more involved with several models.
So a company that started with in-app and started moving to ads, which is great. We'll also discuss this later. Roy, tell us a little about your company. I would guess ads monetization.
Definitely. As a hyper-casual publishing house, so our monetization strategy is heavily based on ads from two main types: interstitial ads that are system-initiated and RVs, rewarded videos, that are user-initiated. In any way, the monetization is managed by two main functions, which is the monetization manager, they're responsible to make sure that every ad opportunity in the game will get the highest CPM. And the product manager, they're responsible to make sure that the engagement rate with ads and usage rate with ads will be optimized.
Okay,
Yeah.
very interesting. We'll also discuss a little about mediation later, which is very relevant to you.
Definitely.
Shalom, go for it.
Sure. So publishers know how to run their business best. As a service provider, our goal is to give publishers the ability to, test, open mind, give additional ideas. And the best way to test is to actually provide abilities to have granular testing around different products. You can run different ad types in different places, in different geos, in different types. And eventually, you have to have a place in which you get granular information that you can actually have enough actionable insights. If you have a platform when you can get those actionable insights, then you are able to decide what is right. Because there are different audiences. Different audiences might be relevant with different needs. If we are able to, as a services, to provide you with enough information, then you will be a better publisher, better provider, and we will be a better providers. So for us, it's all about A/B testing, how granular we can give this information, and how clear we can showcase those examples in a dashboard that you can actually get information from.
Great. Ali, would you like to add some insights?
Yeah, so we are not a publisher, we are mainly a provider, but with the insight that we have from thousands of apps that we are supporting, it's clear that the ones that we are seeing the most successful are the ones that have a diversified monetization approach. So if you look at the users right now, like it's getting more and more diverse. We were not used to see like babies using mobile apps like 10 or 15 years ago. So today it's the case, right? A lot of new countries have emerged as well, and a lot of new users. So there is definitely a need to be very granular on adapting to your audience, to your segments, on trying as much as you can. A/B testing is key, that's for sure. So yeah, that's what I have to add.
Okay, thanks. So we have a very diverse publishing here. We have in-app, we have subscriptions, we have ads. I think this is good because everyone will share its interesting tips. Orion, you mentioned subscriptions. Yeah. For me, subscription is a very big question because there are a lot of so-called success stories in apps, but we don't see a lot of success in games. Do you think that subscriptions is relevant only for apps or also for games? And also share your experience with subscriptions.
Sure. I think it's a great question. I'm a big believer in subscriptions because I think that it's part of our daily life. Everything we do is a subscription. We're renting apartments or internet. It's been around newspapers for ages. So I think that it will be a natural way, a flow of the times where games will also be in subscriptions. I think that there's Apple Arcade today. Gaming consoles are doing subscriptions right now. I think that for fitness, it's very obvious why it would be subscription. But games, it's something that hasn't been cracked yet. I think that it will happen, maybe in 2023. I don't know.
Who knows? Omer, what is your experience with subscriptions?
So, not in games, but I used to work in a company that provides SaaS solution that obviously runs with a monthly subscription model. And I think part of the side that subscription doesn't work for games is that the business model for games is pretty linear if you go for subscription. And I think I mentioned when we discussed it previously to this panel that actually there are some subscription model that works with games such as Tetris to pay a monthly fee just to not watch ads. So this is what sometimes helps. And you mentioned Apple Arcade. So Apple Arcade and Netflix that now in games is really a new platforms for publishers or for services like Apple and Netflix to onboard games and to present them to the world. But for the game developers, it's not very profitable to do that. So I think this is part of the challenge for subscription in games.
Okay. Ali, do you have any more insights? Shalom, you're later.
So in terms of subscriptions, I think it depends on the type of apps, right? So for gym, for example, it makes complete sense. So when you go into subscription, you really need to make sure that you are constantly providing updates or new services, because nobody is going to pay like on a monthly basis for the same thing, right? So that's something very important. But from a sales leader perspective, subscription is good for predictability, right? Especially if you are new or startup or looking for investment, showing that there is a certain level of revenue predictability is something important. Yeah, so that's what I have.
Okay, Shalom.
I want to double click on what Omer said actually is about Netflix. I think Netflix is an example, right? Subscription-based business that is looking forward to get into ads and thinking about how and what would be the right approach. I think that this is exactly the case. Like, how can we segment users and identify and know our users in the best way to understand that not one approach is suitable for everyone. One user will be relevant with subscription, another one with ads. By having enough information and basically audience segmentation, will have enough information in order to identify users and eventually giving them the right approach for them.
Okay. So generally speaking, it looks like the panel doesn't really think this is the right timing for games in subscriptions. I would say that I did see some successes, especially in Apple. So maybe there is a future for games with subscriptions. Let's talk about something that is very, very big. We've been talking about this, I think, since 2018, and now it's really big. Real-time bidding. This is something that I really, really, really think that changed the industry. Roy, would you like to tell you about your experience with real-time bidding?
Yeah, so I totally agree. It's changed a lot in the ads monetization. I would like to focus on the operation side of the effect of this of RTB. I can tell you that if you tried before the RTB world to set a waterfall manually to a title, it was a nightmare. Like, it's a full-time job for ad monetization to manage it per geo, per title,
Per format.
Per ad unit.
Yes.
So it was literally full-time job. Now it's like 20% of the time of the ad manager that is dedicated for this, and the rest is for optimization and maximize the performance.
Okay, so when done right, it optimizes both performance and both the operation costs, which is amazing.
Exactly.
Sounds like a win-win. Shalom, would you like to add something?
Sure. So bidding started as a discussion 4 years ago in 2018, and 4 years after, we are in a place that 40% from the business is coming from bidders, 60% majority is still coming from non-bidding networks. And this has to change. We see early adopters that are there, but we see others that are actually a little bit struggling with adopting. There are networks that invest lots of resources in actually building and developing bidding capabilities. But this world is changing because it's not only the bidding side, it's the side of market consolidation, it's the fact that we have less identifiers and identifiers becoming much more rare. So first-party data reliance is becoming much more important. How publishers are eventually, with the transition to 100 bidding, are accommodating the new reality, a reality in which monetization managers need to do something else probably than optimizing, because you don't have a waterfall anymore. And those monetization managers will have to adopt a new reality of not only optimization, but also user experience and rely on how they add LTV together with ad monetization. So bidding is definitely is definitely there. It's gonna even increase in the next several quarters, and that will definitely create additional opportunities for all of us on the publisher side, on the mediation side, DSPs, and everyone in between.
Okay, interesting. You mentioned the identifiers, so this leads us to the next question. I'm going to say some words that for me, they are making me chill to the spine. I'm not sure if this is the correct word. IDFA, GDPR, everybody are afraid now? Great. So let's talk about policy. Policy changes, regulations. This was like a big thing last year, especially with Apple. And this year, Google is planning to do something. I believe they will be more lenient because they are players in the game, so they wouldn't shoot their own leg. But still, there are going to be a lot of changes. Orion, would you like to tell us about your fun with regulations?
Lots of fun. I think it's safe to say that it changed everything. With regards to iOS, we mainly run on iOS, so it forced us to make a lot of changes internally. We used to have laser-focused targeting, laser-focused optimization, understand the revenue per user, per every little thing, whoever came under from any rock. And today, we just know macroed stuff. We're using statistics, we're using incrementality. We're pulling the pieces together, pretty much. And I think we're just starting to do some good old marketing. Remembering target audiences, doing the research, understanding, taking bigger, bolder moves, making creatives that will work on the first shot, less thousands of creatives and seeing what sticks. That's, I think, the main thing. So I think for my biggest tips on UA and monetization with iOS and IDFA is just to think about the big picture.
Okay, sounds very logical. Roy? Sorry, Omar?
So I think the iOS environment changes a few stuff. First, the place it harmed the most is around the direct connection to the users that we know through retargeting or through CRM. Many players that are now opt out from our ability to reach there with ads or to reach them with push notifications or email. So this is the part that was harmed the most, I believe, with the iOS environment. On the other side of marketing for new players, I would say that what mostly harmed is our ability to measure our performance as before, not actually the ability to target or to reach those users, and actually the way that iOS works today with SKAd network with certain threshold that requires advertisers to spend a lot and cross a specific threshold. It actually allows the bigger advertisers like us being in a less competitive environment. And then it's actually not really harmed, but mostly harmed in a way that we can measure and understand what we're doing, basically, in terms of attribution. And as Orion mentioned, what's the next challenge is how we can evolve ourselves in measurement and how we can do more marketing that is based on ads and do real marketing and less around lookalikes and really laser narrow the audiences.
So what you're saying is this change kind of made a difference between the amateurs and the real pros.
Real.
And you're saying you're a pro.
And I'm saying we're a big advertiser.
You convinced me. Awesome. Roy, would you like to add?
It ruins everything. No, I'm joking. I would say that before this change, 60% of our budget were allocated to iOS and 40% to Android. Now it's very different. It's more like 70% Android, 30% iOS. When we run iOS campaigns, we find that SKAd network is not a good solution for us. We can't allow waiting more than a few hours. We need to see immediately the install, and in that case, we rely on probabilistic solutions. And I agree with Omer that there is opportunity on iOS, but yet we hate to be blind when speaking about where we spend, so that's why we prefer running now more budgets on on Android.
Yes, many companies did that, no doubt.
Yeah.
Ali, do you have any experience with that?
Yes, so I was actually before Agora working for a compliance on the privacy company, which is Ghost Story, on the kind of an ad blocker as well we had at that time. So there is definitely, and I was in touch with many regulators, so there's definitely no doubt that it's going to be more strict in the future. So we are going to be less able to track users and to provide like the right advertising or content. So it completely makes sense, you know, on what we've been talking about earlier on having a diversified monetization strategy. So the more diverse your monetization offer is, the best it is for you. So if you are relying purely on ads, that would be a big risk in the future years, I think. In the meantime, we need to think about what brought us into that stage, right? So I think user experience is definitely key, right? Because there has been like many apps on us as users as well. You know, we have been experiencing like a bad experience from like having too much advertising or too much targeted. So if we want to make sure that, you know, this remains on could be like sustainable and profitable, we need to be very careful and pay more attention on user experience, on user feedbacks on a daily basis. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Mediation. Mediation is something very interesting. There are many solutions, many companies that run mediations. Let's learn a little how to choose a mediation. And let's start with Roy, because you're running with so many ads. I know this from also from my company, from Ilyon.
Absolutely.
Yes, tell us a little about how to choose a mediation.
So I would recommend the importance is clear, as you
notice that Shalom is looking at you.
I know. Shalom is on my back. That's why I'm looking at you. But yeah, Shalom for sure will have things to add to my recommendations. But I would recommend first, there is very different platforms. They are not the same. I saw almost all of them, and there are differences. I would recommend to look first at the integration process. You want to make sure that the integration will be simple. You want to make sure that there will be some technical person from the mediation platform that will guide you through and will help you make or manage this integration in the easiest way. This is the first thing. Second is the dashboard. The dashboards are very different between each and every platform. You wanna, and this is easy to see. Like before you sign or take a decision, you can watch YouTube videos. You can ask your representative in the mediation platform to show you and to guide you and show you a review of the platform. You want to make sure that it fits your needs in terms of analytics, the granularity that you need. A/B test solutions that some of them offers in order to optimize the performance and take data-driven decisions. So this is crucial. Third, I would say that the demand, like the networks that can be integrated into the mediation platform and can be good partners for you. Again, it's not all networks works with all the mediations, so you want to make sure before you take a decision that the networks that you need and you want to partner with are included there and can be integrated, and also in the way that you want them to be integrated. Not all of them work with RTB with all the mediations. So there are differences. And I think one last thing is the support, the ongoing support that you want to have from the day-to-day. In the day-to-day work, you will face issues for sure. You want someone from the mediation platform to be with you on a Slack channel, Skype, whatever works for you, to solve issues on the go. Okay. So yeah, I think this is the main recommendations from my side.
Yes, totally. I would, because you mentioned the dashboard, everyone that were using back in the days Mopub, I'm not sure there are people that are using Mopub here. It used to be a company back then. Mm-hmm. They had the most challenging dashboard ever. You have to bring an engineer to decipher how to monetize. And also one more fee that you mentioned, whenever you're using a mediation company, you have to learn that the company that gives you the mediation will also have a lot of the demand. By surprise, it happens from time to time. So you have to really, let's say, believe in the network that you are working with as a mediation tool, because you will see the ads, especially in the more premium impressions. So this is also something you have to think about. And now Shalom will tell a little about mediations. I think he knows something about it.
No, not that much. I think that I definitely agree with you. I think that I would, Roy, add a few things. You said, support and engineers. I think that I would bucket it under trust. If you have enough trust with the mediation, with the partner that you're choosing, then he will be there for you, not only to help you with engineering, but he will be proactive over there to hear about and think about your concerns before they actually occur. They will be there in terms of, supporting and offering engineering solutions, because this is trust. This is a partnership. You're not just, putting over here a small integration. It's a massive one, and it has a lot of resources invested. So trust, I would definitely think is number one. In addition to that, I will bucket it as with who of the partners you can get more with actually less. Our industry is changing, and changes are imminent. And therefore, you have to find a solution that will give you additional demand. You're right, there's a direct correlation between the networks mediation to churn rates. Okay, so if that's a direct correlation, if we know that churn rates are heavy because we have to invest more money into user acquisition, how do we change that? Speaking with publishers, everyone wants much more brand demand, but without decreasing with revenues. Okay, how do we do that? You have to choose a mediation that actually able to give you both demand, which is brand demand, and also performance demand that able to compete in real time. This is basically maybe the vision and the dream by many publishers for so many years. If you can get those decisions, if you can get and you can trust the partner, then eventually, reliance on additional features or components like the deprecation of identifiers and the increased amount of data that will enable you to segment users will basically give you the ability to choose the right mediation. Hope that was...
Yeah, you convinced me. Even convinced Ali. He doesn't want to say anything. So awesome. So let's say around 5 years ago, there were, generally speaking, two types of companies: in-app publishers and ad publishers. And it worked for a while. Today, the market is becoming much more competitive, and even big companies like Playtika, let's say 888 and other stuff, started to look into other stuff like ads. So let's talk about this growing trend of in-app companies, like solely in-app companies that started to experiment with ads. Omer, would you like to tell us a little about your experience?
Yes, so as you said, the environment of mobile games in the past 2 years, I think it's not a secret, it's becoming very, very challenging. It's becoming more competitive. All the big companies, together with the medium companies, suffer some loss of audience in contrary to a better value from the audience that retains. And companies like Playtika and others like us are starting to explore new ways to grow. One of the challenges is that acquiring new players, what you call user acquisition, it's becoming more expensive, becoming more challenging, and narrowing the business model to one specific business model that is more aligned on in-app ads just makes it more and more expensive. And the fact that you can hybrid your models and you can now get more ad revenue from your players just opens new UA strategies, new retargeting strategies, and it opens different markets, different segments of players, and it changes their environment and the way that we do marketing or the type of audience that we can target and market to. So I think this is part of the reason many companies are doing that.
Yeah, I totally agree. Oriane, anything to add?
I can't say about in-apps and ads because we don't really run a lot of ads. We do have some ads in our Android apps, but again, in iOS, it doesn't work so much for subscription. But we do have some sort of hybrid monetization model because I think diversification is important for anybody, any type of app. Because, I mean, there's no real one cookie cutter profile in our app. We have different buying preferences, we have different types of people, and obviously, I know you guys are all thinking about how in subscription there's some sort of ceiling on an LTV. So some people are willing to pay more than what we offer them as far as the pricing of the subscription. We offer different types of lifetime membership for loyal users that really want to, that do see the value in the beginning and do want to invest in the app. But I think that also for subscriptions, like it's not really the same type of hybrid monetization, but we're always testing different types of models. So I think always testing is important, and if it's formats, if it's subscription lengths, if it's ads, I think it's really important.
Okay, Ali, anything else?
Yeah, so I think that there is definitely a lack of innovation in the monetization space. We always hear about the same thing. I think that I clearly see that there is a trend on like newcomers. So I think we will see more innovation in that space. It started with the NFTs. So we are at Agora big believer on NFTs, on Metaverse. But also there are like some new monetization channels. So like if you think about voice on video chat, you just think like it's pure communication channels. But those channels allows you to open new revenue streams as well. Via video, for example, you can sell features like face filters, avatars, beautification. You can do virtual gifting, voice chat as well. So you can have voice filters, voice masks. You can change your voice. You can sell those features, to your users. So we are looking at those type of things, and those are like features that we are already offering, and we do have a customer using that. So yeah, definitely looking at like having like a more diverse, like as we all said, I think it's clear that the audience is becoming more and more diverse, from babies to seniors. So we need to have like an approach that can address all type of users, literally.
Totally agreed. And I'm going to say a note to the publishers and developers is don't be afraid of using ads. The users are accustomed to ads. And I'm going to tell a little story. When I joined Ilyon, we didn't have a lot of rewarded video ads. And the users were furious. They said, give us ads. And I said, okay, this is amazing. Users were commenting in the reviews, give us ads. So we gave them ads. And now for the last question, let's talk about the future. What does the future of marketing holds? Omer, would you like to start?
So I think a term that is very highly used in this industry is user acquisition, right? It's a term that I don't like because, first of all, I don't like to call our players users. It's a term that, I don't know, it's used only for apps and drug addicts, to call people users. And I think that one of the changes we talked about iOS and about the changes of the environment and the competition, and the fact that Google is now talking about doing the same thing that Apple did, and we will actually in the future we'll go back to basic. We will go back to basics and stop doing user acquisition and start doing more marketing back, and start being more focused on the players, on the audience, on the ads, on the creatives, using more automated tools, and use more broader marketing to catch the players and the audience with the content, and not with machine learning, and not with data, and not with this kind of stuff. So I think this is the part of the user acquisition, and I think content, eventually products and content is the key to success for companies, and companies that will have the greatest content, the greatest games, the greatest apps, and the greatest people, obviously, will win eventually.
Okay, Rui?
So to build on what Omer just said, I totally agree. And creative is definitely the king, and it's also the main thing we can still control. I mean, the networks, the big networks are managing very well that targeting, showing the ad on the right time to the right user. What we still can control and can do great things is create great creatives. And I would add that it's like creating the right creative that will look natively in the platform that you are running the ads is the win. I think there are so many different networks with so many different users. Show them native ads that will feel like, native.
Native looks native, that's what we're saying.
Exactly.
Oriane?
I couldn't agree more with everybody here. I mean, I'm not going to say anything new because I think that they hit it on the head. I think we're going to go back to good old marketing. I said it before. I think we also noticed that after this whole iOS shebang, that people are not going to stop advertising, especially not the big players. So it's not going anywhere. Now Google's following suit. It's not going to happen on Google as well. People are going to still advertise. We're just going to have to make the creatives much better. The audience is going to have to be much more clear. We're going to have to make bigger, bolder moves and for better performance. We're not going to be able to do the same thing that we've been doing for years. Another thing that I think Omer said that I really agree with is that whoever has the best product is going to win because that's going to be the end game. No one's going to buy or use a product, that they don't like, and now it's not going to be just, whoever has the most advertising budgets and whoever can find the users. It's going to be about more discovery probably in the future. I think that's what iOS is trying to do. I guess what Google is going to do as well. And like you said, may the best product win.
Definitely. Shalom?
I think about technology, if we're speaking about innovation and future, I think that there's a very interesting opportunity for, and that's not an ad for any companies, but for audio, actually advertisements. If we're speaking about distribution, we're speaking about how we can distribute more, then I think that definitely audio can be one of them in terms of not necessarily user acquisition, but definitely brands. If we're speaking about brands, then definitely we see in-game advertising, and literally brands came in the back door into mobile with in-game advertising. I think that we will see more brands in the reality of deprecation of advertising IDs. And I think that we will have a new channel, a bigger channel for different user acquisition through other verticals, which are definitely pre-installs. I think that this channel hasn't got up until now enough credit. The industry again changes, and I think that we will see adoption in the future much greater and much bigger.
And Ali?
Yeah, in terms of the future of monetization, so it's clear that brands are going to play a bigger role. So, and we've seen that within the metaverse, the first player, the first who are investing, in the metaverse, on opening virtual shops are the big brand or virtual restaurant. So I think definitely they are going to play a bigger role. I also think that we will be able to buy on sell everything, within an app. You can play a game, a casino game, and you can order a drink and have it delivered to you, or food. So I think we are going to see a cross between the physical and the virtual worlds. And that's what the metaverse is all about. So everything to do with NFTs as well. So that's what I think where the future of monetization is going, So it's kind of an opposite of going back to the basics, but I think the bigger player or the big brand will play a big role on the future of monetization. Yeah.
Okay, so I think great answer. To sum it up, I think that the more regulations, the more challenges that publishers will encounter, you will see a better evolvement of the publishers, and the fastest evolving companies will be the winners. If you have a good marketing strategy in order to evolve and to react very quickly to the things that happen in the market, plus, of course, a very good product, because if you have nothing, if you don't have a product, you have nothing. I think the companies that will have this pinpoint marketing plus good product will win. So thanks, everyone. It was, I think, a very insightful panel. I think the audience kind of enjoyed. I see them smiling. And I think, thank you.